I'm very curious. And Yulia Federov, Diary of a Girl Abroad. I love your account, by the way. And also a content creator.
Also in the middle.
I'm sure it looks fine. So, Michaela,
Exactly.
my first question is for you. Can you tell us your Aliyah story and what inspired you to become involved in public service for those who have already made Aliyah?
So, hi, everybody. Nice to see you all.
Sour or switch.
Hi. Yeah, 40. So, hi, everybody. Nice to see you. Just a quick question before I start telling you my story. How many of you came made Aliyah in the past 20 years?
One.
Wow. Okay. Past 15 years? Okay. Past 10 years? No. You can raise your hand just to any question. I'm just looking for the newcomers versus oldcomers.
Okay. So you're all qualified.
No, when I say past 20 years, meaning that it was more than 20 years ago. Okay, sorry. I did not frame the question right. Sorry. So we were there more than 20 years ago.
So the numbers are very different.
Okay, this is why I couldn't understand before. Okay, more than 15 years ago? Okay, more than 10 years ago? 5 years ago? 3 years ago? And 1 year? Like really newcomers? Okay. So now I just wanted to see who in the audience here. So basically most of you are newcomers, came in the last few years. Nice to see you all. So the question was, how did I get to public service? I came to Israel at the age of 10 from former Soviet Union. And what I wanted most of all when I was a child was to be Israeli. And for me, to be Israeli meant giving up everything that I was before I was Israeli, giving up my language. I speak English better than I speak Russian, unfortunately. Giving up my culture, my heritage, my roots, everything that I was, so I can become an Israeli. And I did. I did become an Israeli. I went to the army. I was a youth instructor. I enlisted the youth, like from poor neighborhood to the army. I studied law. I became and every year I became like a lawyer and then high-ranking management positions until I wanted to get married. And when I wanted to get married, even though most of my parents were recognized as Jews when we came here, suddenly I had to prove again that I was Jewish just in order to get married. And then it just hit me. How can it be? We were considered to be Jews in Russia, and now I had to prove again that I'm Jewish just to get married. So I filed a lawsuit against the state of Israel. And following the lawsuit, of course, the general attorney called me and said, that's fine, that's okay, you're Jewish, everything is good, okay. Meanwhile, I had a few children, okay, it took a few years, and when the story got out, I went to talk about it in the press, and people called me and came to me, and we decided to basically do something about it and other stuff. So we organized the lobby. We established a lobby that is called 1 Million Lobby, that is fighting for the rights and interests of new Olim. And we are tackling lots of subjects. Religion and state is one of them, but not only religion and state. We wrote, together with Deloitte, a whole book about newcomers, new Aliyah, how not to make mistakes that were made in the 90s, when people came here, doctors and lawyers, engineers, and they worked in cleaning houses until that day. So how can the country avoid it? How can the country be more prepared for the new Olim? So I also ran for the municipal elections, and today I'm part of the city municipality Aliyah committee, which we're trying to do things locally. And I'm also a candidate for the national elections from our home Israel Liberman's party. Don't know how to translate. So yeah, it has been a journey, and I have been on the journey for a lot of years. That's it.
Wow, that was incredible. We do have so much. We have so much to cover. So I'm going to ask we can limit the next couple of responses to short hours. You're so fine. Myron, this question is for you. Could you pass the microphone? You. Your Aliyah journey included idea of service before entering the high-tech space. Can you just elaborate how those experiences shaped you?
Yeah. So first off, I didn't do the idea. I was made Aliyah. I originally did the army 10 years ago. I came on a program called Michaela, which is a program from like the foundation of Israel, which was a way for foreign Jews who were other militaries basically to come and volunteer in the IDF. You serve in the military, and then you leave. You don't actually stay here and make Aliyah. And originally I did the army. I'm on birthright, and my mom gave me one rule. She was like, "Don't be an idiot and join the IDF." I said, "Of course, I'm not going to join the IDF." That really wasn't the plan. But like half a year later, I moved to Israel and began the process of joining the IDF. And part of that logic was that I didn't really want to live in Israel at the time, but when I did birthright, I stayed for a month in Israel. And when birthright ended and this amazing trip ended, and suddenly I was like, "Wait, where am I going to sleep tonight?" It was the soldiers that I met on the trip, and I became friends with them. And I saw like I also have Russian background, and then one of the soldiers also has a Russian background. And his parents went from Soviet Union to Israel, and mine went Soviet Union to America. And the fact that he was in the army and I wasn't was circumstance. Like, we're all Jewish. And I thought, like, if I ever want to live in this country, a baseline of it was doing service. So doing that service then kind of brought me back. I had no plans to Israel. October 7th happened. Ended up coming back here, finding my way back into a unit and staying. I feel like I'm in the best place in the world now. As hard as the war was, it's what brought me back, and doing the army kind of opened the doors to that.
We're just like to point out, I don't know how this happened, but we all have Russian background apparently. So that's kind of coincidental, but that's their Yulia, my next question is for you. We have a lot of followers online. Why do you think your story resonates with so many people?
That's a good question. I think
I think it's mostly just because I'm very honest about what it's been like for me, the journey of moving to a new country. I'm not a brand new Ola. I've been here for almost 3 years now, but even still, I encounter challenges, and I talk about them openly on my page, like getting a job, quitting my job, starting a new business, navigating dating, and all of the challenges that come with that. I think people like to see that it's not always a smooth sailing course. You have wins and you have losses, but overall, if you continue the journey as you go through it and you don't give up along the way, that's how you grow, I guess, other than that. And that's how you become an Israeli through the process.
Amazing. Michaela, back to you.
How's Tel Amazing. How is Tel Aviv helping Olim build meaningful lives, but not just careers, like shaping their lives?
Okay, so basically, we do a lot of stuff in Tel Aviv municipality. Yes, most of the things that we do are like work-based or profession-based. In the past 2 years, we've done lots of networking events, and you should come, by the way. You should follow Tel Aviv municipality and come to the networking events. We are doing events that actually we have the native Israelis from different professions. We do each event by profession, and the newcomers, like high-tech people and teachers and doctors and marketing professionals, stuff like this. But also, we do a lot of stuff to integrate between Olim and the native Israelis. Like I said before, When I came here, I thought being Israeli meant I had to leave behind everything that is Russian. And I later on discovered that it was such a mistake to do it, because we're all like a big puzzle of different people coming from different places. And this is what's beautiful about Israel. So this is something to cherish, because each one of you, each one of us brings something unique to the table. And this is what makes it such an amazing place. So we started doing events that are really social events, even speed dating events from Tel Aviv and Tabari. I'm not kidding.
Like what?
Yes. Just so people can meet each other, because at the end of the day, it's really important for people to stay in their own community and like in their own ghetto in a way, but to get out and mingle with the native Israelis, professionally and socially, because those connections matter. It's such a small country, and everybody knows each other. So yeah, it's very important to meet people.
Talking about connections, Myron, tell us about Deploy.
So I didn't hear about speed dating in Tel Aviv municipalities, so I created my own community. So actually, one last thing on the last question of like how got me into tech and being an Army was my first job actually in Israel. This round was from somebody who I met at my reserves. He worked at a venture capital firm. I was able to get in because, in Israel, everything does on who you know. And it's not going to help you if you aren't good, but you could be the best person in the world at what you do. And if you don't know someone, it's going to really hinder your chance of getting in. So that kind of opened the doors for me. And Deploy. So while I was there, I was been building a lot with AI for the last year. I published close to 30 different products. So, I really got into that space. And I was almost obsessed with that space. I would run into people who are doing the same thing. Everyone's building with AI right now, but everyone's kind of doing it solo. AI kind of allowed you to do what you were able to do with a team of 5 to 10 people before alone. And what that leads is to people being kind of lonely. And Deploy, what I launched, was a community for people who are founding companies using AI across a variety of different sectors. We have consumer companies, we have crypto, fintech, etc. And it gave them a home to be together. So we do events where we bring people together. We had 70, 80 people at our last event, and we do co-workings during the week. We have a very active WhatsApp community. And it all comes down to community. I think it's English-speaking community, but I also didn't say that. And I think one of the main things about Israel is like, if you have something that told you here, you're way more likely to stay. And one of the things I saw when I was here originally in the Army was so many people, when I was in the Army 10 years ago, who were here originally, during that time left, and they didn't end up staying in Israel, and they weren't able to get those roots. Like something didn't work out, and having people that like you're close with, people that you're working with, if you're founding a company here, that's even more likely they're going to stay here. I think it leads to people staying in Israel, and so that also kind of goes into that. Maybe we can all work together.
Right, no, actually, yeah, but with Kerem, Yulia, what sort of event? I'm waiting for the event that you're going to talk about. So Julia, Yulia, what surprised you the most about making Aliyah?
That's a good question. I think many things, just in general, from the first time I set foot here 3 years ago, I was immediately kind of like surprised just by all the cultural changes that I was experiencing. But I think the biggest thing that I noticed is that people here it is very much like, as cliche as it sounds, it is very much like a family. Like every time you leave your apartment, you run into people that you know, or you meet new people through friends of friends, and all of a sudden, you feel like you're living in a small town, even when you're in the biggest city of Israel. I never experienced this in Canada. I felt like even when I was in Toronto, it was very separate. You feel a little bit lonelier. You feel like you're really stuck in your own world. But here, I think the community that you have makes it so that you're never actually alone. I think that's the biggest difference I've noticed.
I'm kind of just curious. This is my own personal question. How would you say your upbringing, coming from a Soviet background, has affected your life currently in Israel, if it has at all? And I'll answer that. I'm just curious.
Well, most of Olim in Israel come from Soviet Union. Some even Olim Budrot come from Soviet Union, originally from Soviet Union. So for me, I think I have a bit different perspective on things, especially since October the 7th. I'll explain. When I grew up, like it was a really anti-Semitic country, the former Soviet Union. Like I remember when I was 7 years old, my teacher left a notebook on the table, and some kid jumped and started reading from the notebook, and near each name it was written whether the child was Jewish or Russian. Now notice that it was Jewish or Russian, not Jewish or Christian, Jewish or Muslim, Jewish or Russian. Because in Russia, in Soviet Union, Jewish was a nationality. So for me, it was always the same, like being Israeli, being Jewish. And I don't, like in United States, it's a little bit different because in Russia, there was no religion in the former Soviet Union. So we didn't really feel like it was our country growing up in former Soviet Union. And also, when we left, they took our passport. So there was no way for us to leave. There was no coming back for us. It was not that it was not our country from a very young age. And now, everything that happened that point October 7th, we see all the anti-Semitism, and people are so surprised. Like, lots of people in Israel are so surprised on the world reaction. And I think I'm not. Because of the perspective that we have, we are not that surprised. Like, this is the environment we grew up in. Historically, this is what we have experienced. We really don't have any other country. And I think people who grew up here, like my husband, for example, he's like a kibbuznik and he's just like a sixth generation. He was in shock. I was not in shock. Like, I always known that the world is anti-Semitic, and I think that's perspective that a lot of people from former Soviet Union have.
You guys have anything to add?
I mean, I'll just say, like, growing up, Judaism was kind of experienced. I'm the older sibling, and like I guess we also came to the Soviet Union where, you know, you were, like you said, Jewish, not Russian or not from there. And so, like, the first synagogue I think my dad went to was when he was maybe 20 years old with a Russian Christian friend who was like, yeah, they're not going to arrest me. I'm a Russian. So come with me because I want to experience what like a Jewish synagogue is like. And then I was the first bar mitzvah. Like everything was kind of experienced through me. And like the Shabbats, also I grew up like now I do Kiddush at my house. And like I learned it all actually here in Tel Aviv. Growing up, like religion was there, but it was something that like my parents like had to learn through us because they weren't allowed to do it growing up.
I think we're at.
I think I was going to say the same thing as Myron. I also grew up very much like secular, again, because of like the whole Soviet Union not being religious thing. So it does get a little bit like, I don't know, difficult when you're moving here and everyone around you kind of knows the way that being a Jew works and you kind of don't.
All the songs.
Yeah, all the songs. Like I went to synagogue last week and I remember just feeling a little bit like it's a great community, but I feel a little bit like, I don't know all of the rites of passage for being, you know, a Jew. But I do think that this is the best place for you to learn, you know, no matter how much you want to absorb, you know, this part of your identity, it does become more of your identity being here. And your kids in the future are also going to grow up with more of this sense of like pride in who they are. So I think for that reason, I'm happy. Yeah, happy to be here. You know?
I want to say, like, I didn't know, like, Kabbalat Shabbat at all before, like, and in the last year, like, it's like going here, like, back to synagogue. At first, I was like, oh, cool. In the t-shirt, learning the melody, then, like, hump the melody. And I was like, okay, I'll pull a walking melody. I know exactly all of Kabbalat Shabbat. I could do it on my own. I do Kiddush. And so it's like, just like going, and you could learn it. So don't give up.
Great. Michaela, I have another question for you. What can both new and veteran Olim do to strengthen their local communities?
So basically, mingle. I think that's the best advice I can give us on this topic. Be on different WhatsApp groups. go to different social events. I think everybody here speaks English, so it makes it really easy for people not to learn Hebrew because you can get by knowing English. But I think it is important because truly to be a part of a community, you have to know the language. We have just translated the whole Tel Aviv city website to 9 different languages. It's the first time we've done it. It was only in Hebrew. And so I know how important it is for you, Olim, to have government services, city services, to be in your own language. Even the banks, the whole bureaucracy, it's very, very difficult. But on a social level, I think it is important to know Hebrew in order to really mingle and be part of the community.
That's the first thing I'm going to test out when I get home is if it's actually in English that I can understand. I'm just saying.
9 different languages.
Myron, the next question is for you. If someone landed in Israel tomorrow, what are the first 3 things that they should do?
Okay, step one, you go to that unit. It's located on this.
That was your first step.
No, so I remember when I came to Israel, like I came with a suitcase full of army gear. I slept on couches. I went to reserves, and then when reserves ended, I remember coming to Tel Aviv, but it was actually like around Purim. I think it was when we first right when this Purim in the year. It's like by March. I think March was like was we first our first time a breath of fresh air after October 7th. Like we were in until then. I got out. For me, my home was the base, and like I just moved to Israel. I didn't know anyone, like absolutely no one in Tel Aviv. And I remember coming to Tel Aviv, walking around the Purim, and you see all these parties going on. You're looking up, and like it was very lonely because like everyone's having fun, and you know nobody. And I actually had the same experience on my college campus when I came back after the army, and I transferred back into college. I remember walking around. There's all these parties, and like I don't want to just walk into a random house. And I think it's very important. Like Tel Aviv operates like college campus. College campuses operate on touch points. And they're one of like the best places in the world to meet people. They're like engineered for you to make friends. At college campuses, you'll be walking around, you'll see someone outside, then you'll see them in the dining hall, you'll see them in the class, you go to a party, I saw you in class, what's your name? You see them again, and it's made for making friends. Tel Aviv is a very small city. I mean, so many friends. We're friends. Like we all know each other from just living here, running into each other. And like actually, like Nabiyuna was like I have a lot of people saving my phone as ex-Nabiyuna, like someone Nabiyuna because that's where I met them. And when I came, like I would go to events, events like this, other events. There's so many different Shabbats, everything going on. You need to put yourself out there. Like Tel Aviv is here for you, and it's here to like really help you make friends. But you need to like take that first step. Go to an event because it's a college campus. You're gonna see a few faces, and then you're gonna go sit at Nabiyuna, and you're gonna see these faces again. And I would literally go for the first half a year that I was here. I would sit there every single day. I would just open my computer and sit, and then I'd see one person I knew, and they would have one other friend with them. I'd be like, "Hey, what's your name?" And now, like, I host Shabbats in my house. My house with 60 people. I run a big community. Like, I know so many people, and I started with nothing. Like, it's not because I'm this super social person. It just Tel Aviv here for you. You just need to take that first step.
Myron Odin shares a Nabayun.
Yeah, I think it's
Commercial perhaps.
not being the sponsor.
No, I go somewhere else. It's on a like my shop.
Yulia, my next question is for you. What is one piece of advice that every viewer should learn or know during their first year of Aliyah? Well, specifically during your first year, I think your first year Aliyah, what should every Yulia know? Okay, I feel like this is a big question, but I think be open because you really never know what life here is going to be like for you. When I came here, I had a very clear expectation of like, I'm going to work in high tech, which is what everybody does, and I don't know, I'll settle down. Like, I'm going to have a boyfriend. Did not happen. But I think what I realized is I got the high tech job and I became independent and everything else, but maybe like I wasn't fully fulfilled with myself. And I knew that I wanted to do something slightly different. So I think just be prepared for, the possibility that maybe you'll be surprised by something else that you want to pursue, pursuing a different passion or taking a different road. I know that there's a very clear-cut path that many of us think we need to be taking, but I think if you do, like, for example, what Myron says, and meet all these people and go to all these events,
maybe you'll discover that there's something else out there that's waiting for you.
Do you recommend also going to Navigator?
Not so much.
I think I didn't mean I had to be originally bad.
Well, it's like, she lives in the north, like I said, it's home down Levina.
No, I have no idea what it is. Just wanted to say that I recommend, first of all, we have a department in Tel Aviv municipality and called the Department of the Olim, okay? And you can go find it on the website, Facebook page. We even have a Telegram page, okay? We have Instagram, all the social networks pages, so you can go and find. You have phone there. You can call people that speak English, and they will help you with any issue at all, okay? People will answer, real people, not birds, and help you with any issue. Also, there is a community called Olim in Tel Aviv. We work closely together with them, so you can see all the events there as well. And also, the municipality has a lot of social and professional events. So, yes, definitely not be you now, whatever. Not healthy, okay? Not only. There are various places you can go and meet people and socialize, but it's definitely the key, definitely.
So we are out of time. You guys were incredible. Thank you so much for moving here, for embracing life here, and showcasing what you can do and for anyone who's as the touch who's been here. But anyway, thank you guys. I don't know when I'm supposed to get a microphone to. Jason, thank you guys so much.